What's up, Wild Ones? Welcome to episode number 184 of the Untame the Wild Soul podcast. This is our second Sunday sermon. These are a new series of episode that you can think of as wild and untamed gospel, heart ponderings, and delicious morsels of wisdom to spark your own truth, power, and love from my wild soul to yours. Today, we're going to be getting into developing your spiritual support system. So to open, I want to read you one of my very favorite prayers ever. And this comes from the Magdalene manuscript by Tom Kenyon and Judy, Sion. The show notes for this episode for anything I reference are going to be at untameyourself.com/episode-184. So if you want to find any of the books, oracle decks, or anything else that I reference, all the links will be over there. So this is called Invocation of the Cosmic Mother, and it's written by Judy, Sion. O great mother, divine feminine, birther of the cosmos, lover unto spirit, creatrix of all matter, and queen of all worlds within worlds and those without, we call you to us in this hour. We are your children. Hear our call. We are the daughters and sons of your divine union, the flesh of your passion for life, you who lay with Spirit, our Father, in the beginning of time, and brought us forth from the blessed union of spirit and matter. We are your children, the sons and daughters of your flesh and your heart, and we remember your touch and the fragrance of your essence, and we long for you. Come to our hearts and gift us the remembering. Come to our minds and open our genius. Enlighten us with your presence. Draw back the veils that we might see, and hearken the doors to open, that beauty and ecstasy may live in our homes and our hearts more fully. This is our hour of greatest need. We call you through fire and water, through earth and wind, through all that bears your name. We call all your lineages and all your names. Come unto us, come into us, so be it. I love this prayer because it really invokes the vastness of all that the divine mother, the cosmic mother, encompasses, especially that last paragraph. Fire and water, earth and wind, all that bears your name. So we're talking about all these earthly elements. We call all your lineages and all your names. Come unto us, come into us, so be it. It's a reflection of how we as women are extensions. We're all extensions of the Divine Mother, and the earth is like the fullest expression of the Divine Mother, of the Cosmic Mother. So it just reminds us that we are made of all the same stuff. All that is matter is us. We're so deeply connected and interwoven with everything in the natural world. So there's that. And now I want to talk about developing your spiritual support system. And I like to think of this as my pantheon. So the definition of the word pantheon is all the gods of a religion or people collectively. In a more simpler sense, it's a group of particularly respected, famous, or important people. And I always translate people into beings because it gives us an opportunity to be more inclusive with all kinds of cosmic and divine and spiritual beings of love and light that may support us in this life. So the roots of the word pantheon are Greek, comes from the word pan, which means all, and the word theon, which means holy. And that's also rooted in theos, which means God. So my layman definition is simply your cosmic and divine support squad. And since officially leaving any form of organized religion back in 2011, I've really taken my time to ground into what resonates for me. And to be honest, it's still ever evolving and changing. But I do have a core pantheon. And my intention in sharing this with you today is to indirectly answer a question that I get asked often, which is about my own spirituality, but also how have I reconciled my spiritual beliefs since no longer being part of an organized religion? This is something that women ask me privately a lot, that women ask me during retreats, Wild Soul Movement workshops, and things like that. If you have the Wild Soul Oracle deck, you'll notice I reference all kinds of things in that deck. So I'm kind of like an equal opportunity spiritual embodier and benefitter, right? Like if I feel resonance, I am going to be open to something that makes me feel like more of myself, that nourishes and fuels my spirit and my soul. And so I love the study of archetypes, which many of you have heard me speak of in different contexts. And in many ways, I've developed my pantheon by identifying which energies or archetypes are most supportive to and for me during different times in my life. I don't discriminate. Like I already mentioned, some are Hindu deities, mystic poets, saints, or even religious figures taken in a spiritual or historical context. So to give you an idea of my pantheon, there's Mary Magdalene, there's Jesus, there's Mother Mary, the goddess Isis, the goddesses Durga, Lakshmi, and Kali, the god Shiva, my own personal guardian angel. I connect with archangels, especially Michael for protection, Raphael for healing, all other kinds of angels. So if there's a category, there are angels available to help. My favorite book for connecting with angels and guides specifically is Ask Your Guides by Sonia Choquette. And my favorite book where I originally learned to connect with the Hindu deities is Awakening Shakti by Sally Kempton. In terms of connecting with the goddess Isis, I love the Isis Oracle deck by Lana Fairchild. And for Mary Magdalene and Jesus, there are books, The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, The Meaning of Mary Magdalene, the Magdalene Manuscript, which has had the deepest impact on me. But then just a lot of historical fiction as well. So the Magdalene Line Trilogy by Kathleen McGowan, the Essene Gospel of Peace, and just any and every reference of Jesus in a more consciousness-oriented context, not so much religious-oriented. Even the works of Florence Scovel Shinn, the complete works, helped me to gain a better understanding of what is meant by Christ consciousness, as well as books like Be Love Now by Ram Dass and Autobiography of a Yogi by Yogananda. Those are just some examples. So back to angels for a moment. I think of, when I say any category that you could think of, angels of travel, angels of air, angels of creativity, angels for protection. I call on my angels when I'm about to move my body. I call on my angels when I'm in nature. I call my angels for everything when I'm blessing my food, all kinds of things. And I also want to add in power animals here. And I really resonate with the concept of power animals because this is how I've really experienced animal guides. And specifically, it all began back in, I don't remember if it was 2012, I think it was 2013, when orcas started showing up in my dreams a lot, usually accompanied by dolphins, and occasionally, other than orcas, maybe a big gray whale or a big blue whale. As for the orcas, when they started coming into my dreams, I was curious about, totem animals or spirit animals, and I would look these things up. And I had a friend who specifically worked around animal guides, and she gave me some information. But I really started engaging with them in my dreams and kind of feeling into how did it feel when they were in my dreams, and where was my perspective? Was I the orca in my dream? Was I viewing the orca? And I found more often than not that I was viewing the orca. Like I didn't feel like I was an orca in my dream, but I was viewing them. And the different perspectives really gave me a lot of information around, what they were coming into my dreams to communicate. And so I had a lot of orcas in my dreams, 2013, 2014, 2015. And early 2016, which this is only something I was able to place recently. Early 2016, right around the month of February, they stopped coming into my dreams. And it's only been recently that they've returned to my dreams. And this is what helped me to pinpoint when they left. They left right around the first time I tried to end the romantic relationship that I was in February 2016 and decided instead to stay. And this is why Orca resonates for me as a power animal, because recently as they've come back into my dreams, they've come back as I've really reclaimed my power in very, very deep ways. And so as I reflected, I realized they stopped coming during that time when I buckled and really was compromising my power and my sovereignty and my soul, if I'm super honest. So they came back recently in the last few months. And what was interesting is for the first time ever, they were violent. But one of the things that I realized is, they were eating people, they were attacking people, but they were doing that in retaliation. They weren't doing it just because. They were doing it because people were going into their environment and messing with them. And I had a couple of dreams like that, and it was like mildly disturbing. And then I realized people are crossing their boundaries and they're just asserting themselves. And then I had a couple instances come up in my waking life of when people were pushing my boundaries and where I had to really assert myself in a fierce way. And after I had done those things, guess what? My next dream of orcas, there was no violence, there were no attacks, but there were tons of orcas. It was like they were it felt like this familial energy, like they're back. They're here to support me in droves now that I'm supporting myself in really deep ways. So when we talk about any of these things, whether you are connecting with angels or guides, power animals, deities, religious figures, anything of this nature, I want you to be mindful of appropriation when you talk about these things and sharing, but also really honor when you feel a true calling or a pull towards something. Research the lineage, give credit and homage where it's due, and stay reverent. Ultimately, since we're all made in the image and likeness of God, by identifying or calling upon these beings of divine love, light, and compassion, in a way we're projecting our own qualities onto them to be able to better understand and digest what's within us anyway. I also find it soothing to have someone or something to talk to or journal at times. So for example, I might journal to Mother Mary. And do I have any verifiable way to prove that when I'm journaling to Mother Mary that it's her that's answering me? No. And I'm not super attached to that. Where I derive the value is in the wisdom that comes through. So I invite you and I encourage you to experiment here. In my experience, having this kind of personal pantheon or this cosmic or divine support system, spiritual support system, whatever you want to call it, is just another way to access my own inner wisdom and celebrate the vastness and dynamicness of my own beings. Connect with these different types of energies, these different types of archetypes. Sometimes they come into my dreams. Sometimes I'm just seeing them symbolically in my waking life, in my everyday life. And it just gives me a richer, more textured way to engage with my own self, my own soul, my own spirit, and the waking world around me as I go through my life on the day-to-day. So thank you so much for listening. I'd love for you to come find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Elizabeth D'Alto or Instagram.com/Elizabeth D'Alto, where we've posted for this week's Sunday sermon. Come find me, find the post, let me know. What did you get out of this? How do you practice these things? Who's in your pantheon? I want to know all this. If you have friends or family members or people in your life you think this would resonate for, go ahead and share it. Or if there's people, use these Sunday sermons for like a study group or a book club or a way to spark conversation with people in your life who are on this path with you and following these same interests. If you listen to us in iTunes, make sure you subscribe to the Untamed the Wild Soul podcast to make sure you don't miss any of our Sunday sermons. And that's what I have for you this week. Thank you so, so much for joining me. I hope you find peace. I hope you find power. I hope you find love and connection, more importantly than anything, to your own wild soul, and maybe even to others as well through these episodes. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.